Nigeria is a nation caught between innovation and instability. In one reality, a new generation of engineers is building fintech platforms, developing artificial intelligence systems, and competing on the global technology stage. But in another reality, insecurity continues to spread across highways, villages, farms, and city outskirts, reshaping everyday life for millions.
Violence has become increasingly unpredictable. Sometimes it arrives in broad daylight, sometimes through a phone call in the middle of the night. And Nigerians are forced to ask a difficult question. How can a country this digitally connected still struggle to respond to threats happening in real time?
Spend enough time in places like Sokoto, Zamfara, Kaduna, or Benue, and a pattern begins to emerge. It is not just fear, it is frustration. A quiet but growing anger directed not only at those committing the violence, but also at institutions many citizens believe are struggling to keep pace with evolving threats.
Since Nigeria is not technologically absent, bank accounts can be monitored within seconds. SIM cards are linked to national identities. Financial transactions leave digital trails. So citizens are beginning to ask, if systems can detect financial fraud almost instantly, why does tracking violent crime often appear far more difficult?
For years, the question was simple: where is the protection? But today, that question has evolved into something more unsettling. Not necessarily whether the system has failed entirely, but whether deeper structural problems are preventing it from functioning as effectively as citizens expect.
We know that the government can easily deduct their tax, track our accounts, or freeze our account when money is being sent, let's say through fraud or whatever. But the question now is, why is it that the government can't track various amounts of money, ransom money that's been sent to bandit accounts to release children that have been kidnapped? Why is that?
You know, it amazes me how somebody writes something on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, even TikTok, and all of a sudden, the guy is under cuffs in 24 hours because he says something about the government. I'm like, how? But when it comes to Boko Haram, Boko Boys, or all these guys that are doing terrorism, bandits, it takes them forever, and you can see the person's face. Even on TikTok, the person is broadcasting his face. And yet, up till today, maybe tomorrow it might change, but today, they haven't caught the person. And you wonder why.
In today's world, we are asked to link our NIN to our SIM card and our bank. But when a kidnapper kidnaps someone or asks for ransom, you cannot link that same NIN. You cannot use that same NIN to track or trace the kidnapper or even a bandit. And it keeps me wondering, what is really going on? What is happening? Why can't we use that same NIN that we use to link to our bank when the kidnapper kidnaps us or probably asks for ransom from us, and then he gets the ransom? Why can't we use this same method to get these kidnappers down or to bring them to book? It keeps me thinking.
That sentence, repeated in different forms across the country, captures the contradiction at the heart of Nigeria's security crisis. Because this is not a country without technology. Millions of citizens are digitally registered, financially tracked, and constantly connected. And yet, when same infrastructure is needed to save lives, the response often appears slow, fragmented, or incomplete.
Joining us to examine these realities is Mike Ejiofor, a retired director of the Department of State Services, lawyer, security consultant, and public affairs analyst with decades of experience in intelligence and national security operations across multiple states in Nigeria. Over the years, he has remained one of the country's most respected security commentators, contributing extensively to national conversations around counterterrorism, intelligence gathering, kidnapping, and institutional reform. Mr. Ejiofor brings both operational experience and policy insight into Nigeria's evolving security landscape. Mr. Ejiofor, thank you for joining us. A controversial post appears online, and within hours, digital forensic teams trace its origin, identify the user, and sometimes even make arrests. The infrastructure works. The response is often fast and coordinated. But place that same system in a different scenario. A ransom call, a kidnapping case, an armed attack in a remote community, and the outcome can look very different. From your operational experience, what are your biggest practical obstacles intelligence agencies face in responding rapidly to these threats?
You see, it said that since hunters have learned without shooting, the swallow bird too has said that he has learned to fly without perching. As the technology is advancing and the security agencies are adopting measures, so are the criminals taking countermeasures. For instance, they used to use their phones to make contact. But now, they don't use their phone, they use the phone of the victims to make contacts. And when they make contacts, initially when kidnaps are made, you hardly can make contact until after some time. And when they make contact with the victim's phone, they are not in a particular place. They move out of that place. So you begin to trace, begin to work them. So it's not as easy as it is to disrupt or track them at the initial stage, just like you said. That's just one of the major challenges. One, they don't use their phone. Two, they are not static. After making call, they move to another place.
In many kidnapping cases today, investigators are not always dealing with static targets. Criminal groups often exploit the victim's own mobile phone to contact families, making tracing more complicated from the very first call. And in many cases, they do not remain in one location. They move constantly, changing routes, switching environments, and limiting the amount of time they stay connected to any single network area. This is part of why tracking violent crime can often appear far more difficult than the public expects. Technology exists, but technology alone does not automatically guarantee rapid interception, especially in environments where mobility, terrain, coordination gaps, and infrastructure limitations create delays. Yet, globally, some countries have shown how technology can still improve response speed and intelligence gathering.
What do you want to get? Ice cream. Chocolate? Yeah.
In the United States, when a child is abducted, authorities can activate what is known as the Amber Alert system. Within minutes, information is pushed across phones, highways, broadcast stations, and law enforcement databases simultaneously. The idea is simple: speed. Because in modern security, time is intelligence. In parts of Kenya, drone surveillance and mobile mapping technologies have also been deployed to monitor cattle rustling routes and movements across remote border regions. Not perfectly, but enough to improve coordination and strengthen response capability in different terrain.
And to be fair, Nigeria has not been entirely absent in this area. The military has expanded drone acquisition in recent years. The Nigeria Police Force has introduced emergency response initiatives in some states. The NIN SIM linkage policy was also partly designed to improve traceability and strengthen national security coordination.
But critics argue that many of these efforts remain constrained by a familiar problem: fragmentation. Systems that exist but do not fully communicate. Technology that is deployed but not consistently maintained. Intelligence that is gathered but not always acted upon quickly enough.
Globally, modern intelligence operation depends heavily on interagency integration. Telecom intelligence, surveillance systems, financial tracking, geospatial analysis, and field operations working together in real time. Mr. Ejiofor, how close is Nigeria to achieving that level of coordination?
Well, you see, when these challenges started, we had a lot of interagency rivalry. But as time went on, in fact, when this present administration came up, the president charged them that they need to work together. So we have better interagency collaboration now. We don't have so much of rivalry, and you can see the DGSSS collaborating with the police with the office of the NSA and the chief of defense staff. They are working in unison instead of working in silos, and that is why it's important that there must be this interagency cooperation. Then on the technology, you know, technology has its own limitations. They have to be manned by human beings. And if you don't have sufficient training in terms of management, it becomes a challenge and another problem. But I believe that with time, we shall overcome all this.
The repeated reports of Nigerian Air Force operations mistakenly striking wrong targets over the years further reinforce this concern. In several incidents across different communities, air raids intended for armed groups reportedly resulted instead in civilian casualties, destruction of homes and property, and humanitarian displacement, affecting dozens, sometimes hundreds of residents. Beyond the immediate loss of lives and livelihoods, such incidents have also triggered fear, public outrage, and deep distrust within affected communities, particularly in areas where security cooperation already depends heavily on local intelligence sharing.
And incidents like this often reopen difficult national conversations around intelligence verification, operational accountability, and institutional coordination. Because when sophisticated platforms like the Embraer EMB 314 Super Tucano and other advanced surveillance assets are already in operation, attention naturally shifts from the machines themselves to systems guiding them. Mr. Ejiofor, government has invested in technologies such as drone surveillance, digital identity systems, and communications monitoring. In your assessment, where have these investments genuinely strengthened national security? And where do the most critical gaps still remain?
Yeah, I agree with you. You know, government has invested in technology because that is the way to go. You can see that we're collaborating. Terrorism, for instance, is a global threat. It's not limited to Nigeria, so there's need for collaboration. You can see the way we're working with the United States of America. But you also know that we cannot rule out the possibility. You've seen the cases where money meant for security are diverted, either to campaigns and all these things. So at times, the issue of oversight from the National Assembly, you know, the National Assembly also looks for, you know, for their palms to be greased before funds are appropriated. So at the end of the day, you don't get the exact amount given to you. As it moves down the line, the people are shortchanged. So there's need to plug the holes, check corruption in the process of purchase of equipment.
Beyond technology itself, critics also point to bureaucracy, corruption, delayed coordination, and institutional inefficiencies as recurring obstacles within the security architecture. There is also a growing public perception that certain security matters receive faster institutional attention than others. From within the intelligence system, how are operational priorities actually determined in a country managing multiple threats simultaneously?
You see, in intelligence circle, for instance, we have 4 stages. Collection of intelligence, processing, dissemination. If you give out this necessary intelligence and the people, the action agents, don't have the capacity to deal with such a situation, it becomes a problem. Intelligence has never lacked. We have never lacked intelligence. I'm not saying it because of it, but I believe that the SS is up and doing. You can see most of the arrests being made is based, they're intelligence driven. The SSS provide intelligence, but at times the topography makes it almost impossible for the action agency, like the military or the police, to get to such areas. There are so many unmanned areas, vast areas that cannot be penetrated except by the bandits and them who have control of such areas. So you have some limitations, operational and institutional framework, that tend to have a drawback on what we're doing.
You made an important point earlier. Intelligence itself is rarely completely absent. And from a technological standpoint, many modern surveillance systems are specifically designed to minimize terrain limitations through satellite imaging, thermal detection, geospatial mapping, and signal analysis. A forest may appear inaccessible physically, but digitally, movement still generates patterns, coordinates, and data. So where then do the biggest operational gaps usually emerge?
Because modern security is no longer defined by weapons alone, it is increasingly defined by systems. How quickly information moves, how accurately it is processed, and how effectively institutions respond to it. Beyond the technology itself, how important is human capacity? Trained analysts, field operators, data interpreters, and rapid decision making in determining whether intelligence succeeds or fails.
Of course. The need for further training cannot be overemphasized. We need training, we need to improve the welfare of the staff, we need adequate funding. So you see, why people are worried because of the escalating security challenges. You see, security is the primary purpose of government. But the problem now is that virtually all the subsectors are not adequately funded, including security. But people are worried because without security, there won't be any meaningful development. And people are scared carrying out their businesses. You cannot, in a situation like this where you have mass kidnapping, people cannot travel on the road, you are scared of going to farm. It therefore affects productivity in terms of agriculture and all this. And so these are cumulative effect of all these challenges.
Yes, and hopefully we get there. In fact, one of the major priorities of this administration is to encourage greater patronage of homegrown innovation and made-in-Nigeria solutions. And as you rightly pointed out, many of these security challenges are deeply local in nature, which also means local knowledge and locally designed systems may be better positioned to respond effectively. But looking ahead, what realistic reforms, technological, institutional, operational, or intelligence-driven do you believe could significantly strengthen Nigeria's ability to prevent attack proactively rather than simply responding after incidents occur?
Yeah, one of the institutional frameworks, like I have said, is the issue of establishment of the state police. Security challenges are local. So are the solutions local. You can't know my house better than myself. We admit and agree that there are issues there are challenges in the state police, but we also have challenges with the federal police. we're talking of abuse. That's the fear most people have. But when you establish the police under this framework that you abuse people's rights, they go to court and enforce it. When you enforce it, it will be reduced. Then on technology, we are collaborating with the United States. We are not only collaborating with the United States, we are collaborating with other countries to ensure that this is brought to a halt.
International collaboration is also a major part of this conversation. Security technology today is deeply tied to diplomacy, intelligence partnerships, and strategic cooperation between nations. And we are seeing President Bola Ahmed Tinubu intensify bilateral engagements through several foreign visits and high-level meetings over the last few years. From your perspective, how has this engagements improved Nigeria's access to technology transfer, intelligence cooperation, training opportunities, and advanced security partnerships?
Nobody transfers technology to you. You acquire it. And I think with the diplomatic shuttles by the president, we're establishing links. Don't also forget that recently, ambassadors were appointed. We didn't have them before. So this will further enhance the relationship and acquisition of intelligence.
Mr. Mike Ejiofor, former director of the DSS, it has truly been an honor having you on the program and benefiting from your vast experience and insight into Nigeria's security architecture. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And beyond the policies and technologies, the reality remains that these security challenges are local, and it is ordinary citizens and communities who bear the greatest pain and consequences.
Modern security is not simply about detecting danger. It is about what institutions choose to do with the information they already have.
The technology exists. The intelligence exists. The talent exists. The real question is whether the systems responsible for protecting lives can evolve fast enough to match the threats confronting them.
We round up with this. O God of all creation, grant this our one request. Help us to build a nation where no man is oppressed, and so with peace and plenty, Nigeria may be blessed.
God bless Nigeria. Logging off.